Everybody get your fucking hands up.
Hey, my name is Paul Mormando. Welcome to my brand new podcast. This has been going on for a long, long time. I wanted to do a podcast specifically about martial arts, of course, but more importantly, I want to get the average person involved in the martial arts. I want to be able to empower the average person and educate them on the benefits of martial arts, not just like the things that you see or you read in advertisements, but from personal experience, on my journey, on everything that the martial arts has done for me. So that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about. This podcast is going to be more educational and more experience related topics, as opposed to just talking about generalized things for the sake of speaking. So there is a purpose for this podcast, and that purpose, again, like I said, I want to bring in 1 million people. That is my goal. Maybe a hefty goal, maybe something people may think I'm absolutely out of my mind, but I want to bring 1 million more people into the martial arts. And I'm going to do it through this medium, and the platform is the podcast. So how did this all come about? You know, who am I? Why should anybody listen to me about martial arts? Like, you know, did you just wake up one day and want to start a podcast? No, absolutely not. During this past year, in December, actually, Christmas time, I had come down with COVID, and I had COVID pneumonia. So I was out in the hospital for close to a week, and everything was pretty grim. And I didn't, think my family and we kind of didn't think I was going to pull through it. It was very scary because, as you might know about COVID, we don't know too much about it. We still don't know too much about it. Anyway, this podcast is not about that. So in laying there and having so much time on my hands, I realized this, and this is the second time that I had a life-altering situation. Once when in my 20s, when I was in a horrendous car accident, it was the first time that I realized that life is short and it can be taken away from you at any time. So as I'm sitting in the bed in the hospital fighting COVID, I'm thinking to myself, what is it that gives me this ability to pull through these horrible times? And all I could think about was being a youngster and reciting these words, I call them power words, these power words, and these martial art power words, indomitable spirit, perseverance, integrity, confidence, and over and over. And I remembered my instructors, my teachers, and my first style of martial arts was Taekwondo. My Taekwondo instructors drilling me on these things, and they would, to the point where I was like, oh, please, I want to learn how to fight. I started the martial arts because I was in a horrendous bullying situation, and it saved my life that way. And so here I am reciting these words, and everything just came full circle as I was laying in a hospital bed. And I realized, yes, everybody watches the UFC, everybody watches action movies and stuff like that. They know, but do they really understand how life-changing martial arts can be to the average person? And no, you don't have to be a world-class competitor. You do not have to be Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee or Jet Li or Jackie Chan. No, you could just be you, and you could train in any art form, in particular, any martial art, and it's going to give you these benefits, the benefits of self-discipline, the benefits of confidence, the benefits of even stress release, so like, a lot of us come home, we work in full-time jobs, we have families, we have different things that are stressing us out. Martial arts takes care of that. So the martial art cures like so many things, and we don't realize it. And, sometimes we'll just see like a flimsy advertisement for a martial arts school trying to get more students, and we kind of like push it off as like, oh, they're just trying to advertise. But the truth, if it wasn't for the martial arts, I would not be here today. So again, to answer the question, why am I qualified to do this? Well, quick elevator pitch about myself. I started martial arts at 12 years old. I was being bullied so horribly that I came very close to taking my own life. And with the luck of turning the channel, and there weren't many channels back in those days, there was no internet, I come across this small little Chinese guy, and he's doing amazing. He's beating up guys twice the size and multiple guys. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. There is hope. I could do what this guy's doing. So I went and ran in and asked my dad, who had, who was in the military and a boxer, but he didn't have much experience in martial arts. And he said, "Oh yeah, this guy's." He told me the guy's name. The guy's name was Bruce Lee, and he's doing some judo stuff. It obviously wasn't, as I learned later on about martial arts, he was doing his own system of martial arts called Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun, of course. But I realized that this martial art thing was a way for me to empower myself, the way for me to learn how to protect myself and not feel inferior to anybody. So I really got obsessed with the martial arts at that age, and it saved me. And then I got so obsessed with it that I started getting confidence, this amazing thing called self-confidence. And I felt so good about myself that I started to compete in tournaments, and won quite a few tournaments and stuff. But I then got boggled down in the politics of the martial arts when I got just about to get my black belt, and I got very frustrated with a lot of the things. And as I started to become more proficient in it, I saw that, and on a technical aspect, I'm not talking about the spiritual side, I'm not talking about the benefit side. I just saw there was a lot of limitations. So what did I do? I did what my idol did, Bruce Lee, and I created my own style of martial arts. And I took it one step further, and I went out and I got it registered by the late great Grandmaster Iron Banks, who was, I like to consider one of the godfathers of martial arts in general, and especially in New York. And I went up to him and I asked him to register my system of martial arts in his organization, his World Professional Karate Organization, which he did. And he awarded me the rank of 10th degree black belt. At that time, I was in my early 20s. So if you thought bullying was bad beforehand, with the students in school, it got even worse when all of the old timers saw some young punk come in and do my own twist on my martial art experience. So as I'm sitting there and getting loads of exposure in the media, because of the age and because of the martial arts, I'm like, how am I going to prove to people? Yes, anybody could create anything, but can you prove that it works? So I competed myself, but I really wasn't too much into the competition thing. I won some championships and titles, and some minor titles and some minor tournaments. But then I started to train students. And when I started to teach the students, I created 5 world champions, one of them being a kickboxing champion at the age of 12 years old. And so I kind of proved to myself first that what I'm teaching, it works. Because now I'm taking my students who are going against other styles of martial arts, and we're becoming victorious. So that was my first step into it. And then from there, I used to like to do a lot of performance stuff, a lot of demonstrations. And I got picked up one day by a major news station. And not only did the major news station see it, but a Hollywood manager saw it. And he contacts me and he tells me, he says, "Listen, do you ever think about doing any film work, any movies? You could be the next Chuck Norris." And I kind of laughed, and especially coming from being a really introverted, type of person. And I said, "No, acting, I never even did a play in school. I actually did one play. I was the apple. I think I held up an apple sign, and I was an apple, like in a play. I was a background person." And so he convinced me to try and audition. I auditioned for a couple of minor things, and I got 1 or 2 of them. So I got bit by the bug. But of course, having goals and setting goals is all part of martial arts. I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to star in my own movies. And many, many years later, I accomplished that goal by starring in a couple of films, and I'm still producing films. So why am I telling you all this? Because I want you guys to know that when I'm speaking of martial arts, not only do I think of martial arts 24/7, I am totally obsessed with it. I owe my life to it. And again, when I was on that bed in December, recovering, at the time I didn't know I was recovering, but I made a promise. I promised to empower and teach as many people in martial arts so that they would have those tools in their life to succeed the way I did. And I'm going to end this podcast with welcome to my podcast. I appreciate your support. And let's take this journey together. And I want you guys to see what the martial arts can do for you. God bless and thank you.
Everybody get your fucking hands up.